Dana Abercrombie, the Coalition. Thank you, everyone, for speaking to me. I wanted to start off first with, this is a comic book, but I wanted to know what were the important details that was needed to be expanded upon when it came to the series.
Well,
Brandon?
yeah, I was trying to think. Wow, there was a lot we had to figure out. I mean, a lot of times with adaptation, it's more about what you leave out rather than what you bring in, and you have to
Mhm.
figure out ways to immediately grab the audience using very clearly recognizable and understandable emotional beats. So I think the thing we really expanded upon, which is only a few pages in the graphic novel, but we really overstated the importance of food, which is really not really overstating when you're talking about Nigerian or West Africa or human culture in general. So we definitely made food as much of a character. And we also gave a lot more personality to Akun, which is our giant, magical, beautiful, wonderful panther. We gave him a lot more screen time than he had in the graphic novel. So really, it was just finding ways to connect with the audience within 35 to 40 seconds in the first episode, and
Right,
then, really centralizing the communal nature of food in friendship building and family building.
right.
You know,
So,
a, a quick tag about I got a quick tag about Akun because the direction that we gave the team was think of like Wallace and Gromit. Akun doesn't talk, but you always need to know what he's thinking, right? He
Mhm.
becomes the peanut gallery that we can cut to when we need to have a reaction to something when someone's going, "Are you high or what?" Kind of a thing, right? And that really came across. It was great that that was leavened into the story at the script level because we then ran with that and made him into a lot bigger of a personality and performance, even though he
so
doesn't talk.
wonderful. So for Samuel, as the voice of Toye, I hope I pronounced that right.
That's right.
What I love is his personality. Can you talk about finding that voice within that personality and then the descriptions about him?
Mm. Yeah, I mean, finding a place for Toye to live within myself first, and then to portray that as a voice actor wasn't so hard because Toye wanted to take a path that was different from what his father originally wanted, which is
Mhm.
something I can relate with. A lot of young kids in Nigeria that want to go the artist route. Usually they get a bit of resistance from family. They're like, how are you gonna live? How do you protect yourself? And I understood that immediately when Toye's dad, Kanfo, wanted him to be a warrior. Like, don't let them bully you. Kids are. It felt so similar. I could connect with that so immediately, and that helped me to portray that character. And his person, one thing that I will say is that I admire Toye so much because as the show goes on in the season, you begin to see that you can be strong without losing your softness. You can be strong without losing your heart. You can actually go inward and become stronger by doing that. And it was just such a beautiful thing. And like you said, the character of Toy and his personality is something that really shines through. And I will say that as the season went on, as we got into like the middle of the season and the episodes, Toye started becoming, even funnier and more humorous. And I love that so much about him because Nigerians are funny people and I love to be funny. So it's such a beautiful evolution for Toye and it's just so rich. And same goes for Iyanu, same goes for Biyi, and of course it goes for Ekon as well. They're also
Mhm.
rich and beautiful characters.
Now, Vincent, what I love about this is this Yoruba culture and the spirituality that's also associated with it and within this series. Can you talk about was there a particular kind of I'm sorry, a specific moment of the cultural experience that you felt you wanted to bring forth to foreigners such as myself in America that had this universal connection?
Well, I think, spirituality comes in as many flavors as people do, but the core
Mhm.
messages are all ultimately kind of universal. And so to me, that was the exciting thing is how do we culturally authentically represent that in a Yoruba flavor, right? And so though the sublime, the divine, the unseen things that we sense that affect us in the real world, the so-called real world, but don't
Mhm.
see The opportunity to be able to only fantasy and movies, can actually visualize that in a way that makes it palpable and real. And to me, that was the fun part is finding ways to kind of make people think, oh wow, this happened to me in my real life, and maybe my guardian angel just saved me from being hit by that bus, or whatever. I'm over exaggerating, but that is really kind of cool. Yeah.
And for Brandon, one of the things I wanted to know with this medium of it being an animated, how do you feel that challenged both you creatively to kind of dig in deeper into both the comics and the world itself?
Yeah, so I'll give you a very practical answer to that. And as this was my first time running a writer's room, I had to learn very, very quickly that there was a cost associated with every single second of the show. And when you go over budget without realizing you're going over budget, and you come back and you do the line reads and you come in 30 minutes when you only have 22 minutes of storytelling time, you learn very quickly how to make changes. And me being a solution-oriented person, we just had to figure out ways to keep us within a reasonable budget while also making the show look visually interesting and maintaining the quality. And also having people not speak so much and let the visuals do a lot of the talking. And that was something that was, I think, the biggest lesson I learned as a first-time head writer.
Yeah, the axiom is show, don't tell. If you can show something without having to give a bunch of exposition, that's film.
Right. And then lastly, for Samuel, with kind of piggybacking off of that, what I wanted to know, what was the essential kind of quality that you that you really loved about Toye?
Toye is very, very real, and all the characters are real, yeah, but Toye is kind of like the one who brings a lot of drama into things. Like he's almost like the voice of reason. It's so relatable. I think that's it. That's the word. It's so relatable. Toye doesn't have magical powers. He can't shoot fire out of his hands or anything like that. He doesn't. I mean, at first I was like I was telling the writers like, what I do to you, man? What did Toye do? He don't got nothing. He just reads books. But I think it allowed for the character to go within and be very rich, and it's just so real and so nuanced, and the details and the taste of it is just so beautiful. And as the show goes on, everyone will fall in love with the characters. But because I voiced the character of Toye, they will fall in love the most with Toye. I mean, that's my opinion.
Wonderful. Thank you to all three of you for speaking to me, and a beautiful series. Thank you for bringing this to us.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Dana.